Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a seriously mind-bending trip. We're diving into the chapter of Preaching Tao, Article 10, The Mysteries of Space. We're going to journey from the dense physical universe, the stuff we think we know so well, straight into the infinite, untethered realms of human consciousness. It's a deep dive into matter, the true nature of emptiness, and just the absolute boundless potential of the mind. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this by tackling the core philosophical hook of our cosmic journey right out of the gate. Where does matter actually live? I mean, we touch things, we feel them, we see them, right? They feel incredibly solid to us. But as our source text explains, when you really start to break down the fabric of the universe, the actual location and nature of physical matter becomes, well, surprisingly elusive.
Section 1. The Search for Matter.
To really understand the microscopic world, we actually have to start by looking at the macroscopic universe. Think about it. When you look up from Earth, the Milky Way just looks like a glowing cloud. It's simply too vast to comprehend as individual pieces of matter. And even if we shrink our focus down to just our own solar system, it's still incomprehensibly huge. The text points out that to truly grasp the universe and the actual nature of matter, we have to shrink our focus way down from those massive galaxies to something we can literally hold in our hands, something as simple and tangible as a stone.
Now, let's peel the onion, so to speak. We've got our stone. Step 1, we acknowledge it's a solid, material object. But dissect it, and at step 2, we find molecules. Zoom in further to step 3, and we find atoms, which break down into nuclei and electrons. By step 4, we're really accelerating down the subatomic ladder here. Protons, neutrons, quarks, hadrons, bosons, photons, gluons, until we hit a totally surprising final layer at step 5. Emptiness. The text asserts that when you peel away literally every single layer of a physical object, its true core, its ultimate nature, is actually just empty space. Wild, right?
Section 2. The Illusion of Emptiness.
And this brings us to a massive pivot in how we understand reality, introducing the Buddha's wisdom regarding empty space. To really wrap our heads around this, just consider the sheer mind-boggling scale of the microscopic world. 1 trillion. The text perfectly illustrates this scale by pointing out that if you took 1 trillion protons and lined them up in a perfectly straight line, they would measure only 1 millimeter long. 1 millimeter. It is almost impossibly small. And when you ask what is at the absolute core of those microscopic particles, it's emptiness.
Let's slow down for a second and just let this profound Buddhist principle sink in. Emptiness is not different from form, and form is not different from emptiness. What the text is explaining here is that space is simply the distance between matter. It is the realm of matter itself. Meaning, emptiness and matter are actually one and the same. Emptiness is form, and form is emptiness. They are deeply, absolutely, intrinsically linked.
So the crucial takeaway is that space can expand infinitely, dictated by the endless digits of pi and how matter is distributed within it. Think of it like this. If you place 2 tables side by side, right next to each other, the space between them is pretty small. But if you move one of those tables all the way to Mars, well, that space dramatically increases. Move it billions of light years away, and the space expands infinitely. Space doesn't have boundaries, it simply scales with the matter inside it.
Section 3, Yin and Yang Space.
We've talked a lot about physical space, the kind we can measure with a ruler or a telescope. But where do the spaces of our memories and our dreams actually exist? Because they aren't taking up physical room in the room with you right now, yet they are undeniable spaces that we traverse in our consciousness. To answer that, our source material introduces a really deep philosophical framework. It states that space is incredibly complex, it's layered, and it consists of 36 dimensions. But at its core, it's governed by the dual principles of Tai Chi. This means space isn't just a single one-dimensional vacuum. It is a multi-dimensional structure divided into 2 primary attributes.
And this brilliantly illustrates the dividing line of reality. Over here in yang space, we have physical matter, the atoms, the protons, the stones we were just talking about. It's the space detected by our vision and by scientific instruments. But in contrast, yin space is entirely non-material. It's the realm of the mind, the spirit, and consciousness. This really highlights the vast difference between the physical world we measure versus the spiritual world we vividly experience.
Section 4. The Speed of Consciousness.
This builds a fascinating framework for escaping our physical boundaries. But first, we really have to ground ourselves in the stark reality of our physical limits, the limits of yang space. In the physical realm, we are rigidly bound by the speed of light.
we're pretty much entirely restricted to planet Earth. Our material lifespans are incredibly short. And let's be honest, physical space travel to distant habitable stars is technologically impossible right now. It would be wildly unaffordable even if it were possible. And, as the text bluntly points out, even if you did somehow reach another planet, human death is still completely inevitable. It's an insurmountable, limiting chasm.
But look at the incredible contrast when we shift over to the non-material realm. In yin space, the speed of movement is superluminal. It is absolutely instantaneous. Because yin space is governed by consciousness and spirit, we aren't bogged down by rocket fuel or the speed of light. Our consciousness can cross billions of light years to distant non-material planets in the literal blink of an eye. The vastness of the universe just becomes instantly accessible to the unburdened mind. No rockets required.
The source text actually describes specific, beautiful realms known as the 1,000-year world and the 10,000-year world. But how do we reach them if physical rockets are a no-go? Well, the text explains that consciousness dictates existence. We can traverse into these beautiful environments simply by resonating our life frequency with them. By changing our very mode of thinking, the yin and yang worlds can transform into each other, making these supposedly distant, unreachable realities entirely within our grasp.
Section 5. Virtual Reality and Mind. For our final act, I want you to reconsider the line between what is physical and what is simulated. Just think about the internet for a second. Before computers, we would never, ever have acknowledged the existence of a virtual network space. It would have sounded like magic or just totally impossible. But just as the invention of computers proved that virtual network spaces genuinely do exist, the text argues that spiritual spaces, like the Celestial Islands continent, the Elysium world, or Lifechanyuan, exist very tangibly in the realm of the mind and consciousness. The virtual computer network we use literally every day is a perfect parallel for the non-material network of the universe.
This sets up a truly profound choice for our own consciousness. Think about it. You could endure decades of grueling hard work, anxiety, and sorrow just to physically travel and see the Earth in yang space. Or, alternatively, you could spend half a year in a virtual or non-material space, instantly enjoying all the Earth's beauty in yin space without the heavy physical toll. The text challenges us with this: what difference does it really make to your thinking and consciousness, whether you experience something physically or non-materially?
Which brings us to this incredibly weighty quote directly from the text. The illusory is real and the real is illusory. It completely blurs the final lines between the physical atoms we measure out there in yang space and the internal dreamscapes we navigate in yin space. If emptiness is form and form is emptiness, then our conscious experiences are exactly as deeply real as the physical stone we hold in our hand. I want to leave you with this final, deeply personal dilemma drawn straight from the text. If you're having a beautiful dream, would you rather wake up and endure the grueling anxiety and sorrow of the physical human world, or would you rather have a 10,000-year beautiful dream? If consciousness truly dictates existence, and yin space is instantaneous and infinite, which reality will you choose to navigate? It's a completely fascinating question about the very nature of existence, and it's one that I hope you'll be pondering long after this explainer ends. Thanks so much for exploring this with me today.